Here we go. This is our group. We're talking about nutrition and pregnancy. My name is Claire Wells.
I'm Kyrie McNeil.
And I'm Olivia Shane.
All right, so we're going to jump right in. Talking about nutrition and pregnancy, it's a really important time for mom and baby to get off to a great start. And a healthy baby really does begin inside of you. So how much do you need to be eating? Are we really eating for two during pregnancy? Not really. It's better to think of eating better, not more. The reason being is because most women who get pregnant are already overweight. 31% have a BMI of 30 or higher, and 26% are overweight with a BMI of 25 to 30. The reason why this matters is because it increases maternal risk factors, such as gestational hypertension and gestational diabetes are both associated with obesity. And the reason why that matters is because they are also connected to congenital anomalies, thank you, miscarriage, increased risk of C-section, and fetal death. So we're not saying that if you are overweight, you're definitely going to have one of these complications. We're just saying that it's more likely. So we want to have less risk factors. So how much extra do you need if you are overweight or you are obese or if you are a healthy weight or if you're underweight? First, you've got to figure out your BMI. So you can go to diabetes.org and they have a really great easy calculator. Otherwise, you can just use this little formula, grab your phone and put your weight and divide that by 2 times your height in inches. So just remember that, like 5 feet is 60 inches. So if you're 5'5", that'd be 65 inches times 2. So once you get that number, you will get a number, and that will tell you what your BMI is. So once you know what your BMI is, then you can easily calculate what you need to be eating extra during pregnancy. So the weight recommendations, if you're underweight, you want to gain like 28 to 40 pounds. If you are healthy weight, 25 to 35. If you're overweight, 15 to 25. And if you're obese, 11 to 20. So that turns out to be about a pound a week if you're healthy or underweight, and about a half a pound if you're overweight or obese. And what does that look like? Actually, for the first trimester, you won't be gaining any weight, or you don't need to be gaining any weight. The true weight starts to come on in the second and third trimesters. In the second trimester, in order to supplement your body, the nutrition it needs, you need about 170 calories a day, which could be a half a cup of plain Greek yogurt and a handful of berries. So it's not that much extra than you're already eating. And that would add up to about 6 to 7 pounds gained during the second trimester if you're overweight or obese. And in the third trimester, you need 225 extra calories per day, which adds up to be about 6 to 7 pounds gained, which is like eating 2 celery stalks and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter extra in your day. And if you are a healthy weight or underweight, you would double this and definitely get some support from your caregivers so that you can make sure that you and the baby are getting enough nutrition.
Okay, so now that we have talked about calories and weight gain, it's important to talk about all the essential macronutrients that are important during pregnancy. So the 3 main macronutrients that the body needs are protein, carbs, and fats. So just to start with protein, protein is definitely important for the development of fetal organs, tissues, and cells. And the pregnant woman typically needs about 75 to 100 grams of protein a day. Another good way to figure out what your pregnancy protein needs might be is to take whatever your pre-pregnancy protein needs were and add about an extra 25 or 30 grams of protein. So some good healthy sources of protein include things like lean meats, so things like poultry, just really lean cuts of meat that aren't too fatty. Low mercury fish, so that includes things like salmon. Eggs are also a good source. Dairy, particularly low-fat dairy, and then beans, nuts, and legumes. So it may be helpful to also like snack throughout the day on protein-rich foods to meet your daily protein needs. So this could look like something like snacking on Greek yogurt with some granola or maybe a handful of nuts. And then this helps to keep your hunger at bay and then encourage steady energy levels throughout the day. Okay, so the next main macronutrient that is important to talk about is carbohydrates. So these are essential for cellular growth, stable energy levels, and also brain function. And pregnant women typically need about 175 grams of carbs daily. It's also really important to get enough fiber when you're pregnant. So the recommendation is about 28 grams at least of fiber a day. And so this promotes digestive health and can also help things with constipation, which is a common problem in pregnancy. And so how do we pick carbs that are healthy for us during pregnancy? So the two main types of carbohydrates are complex carbs and simple carbs. Complex carbs are things like whole grains and whole wheats that provide a stable energy and can be a great source of fiber. So whole grain breads, whole grain pasta, also fruits and vegetables are great sources of complex carbs. Brown rice over white rice. Whereas simple carbs are things like white breads, candy, donuts, sugary juices, cookies, candy, soda. So it's important to choose complex carbs over simple carbs to keep your energy level stable. And then the last main macronutrient is fats. So fats are a really good concentrated source of energy, which can help us meet our increased needs for calories during pregnancy. And then it also helps facilitate the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, which are vitamins A, D, E, and K. They're also essential for fetal brain and eye development. So fat consumption should be limited to about 20 to 30% of your daily calorie intake. And one fat to pay special attention to is omega-3 fats. And these are really, really essential for fetal brain development and all sorts of neurological function. And another important thing to avoid is to avoid trans fats, which are typically pretty common in things like fried food and processed foods. And so here's a couple of helpful tips for selecting healthy fats to eat while you are pregnant. So limiting saturated fats is helpful, and those are typically found in things like red meats, full fat dairy, so like heavy cream and whole milk, and processed foods like fried foods and everything that we mentioned before. To get enough omega-3 fatty acids, it can be helpful to eat 8 to 12 ounces of low mercury seafood a week. So again, we mentioned salmon, that's a good source. Also avocado is excellent, as well as nuts, flaxseed, and chia seeds. And also those are good sources of protein too. And it's also important to switch your cooking oils to things like olive oil or avocado oil.
Okay, so now that Olivia has talked about the macronutrients, I will sort of talk about the micronutrients. So during pregnancy, several essential micronutrients are crucial for the health of both the mother and the developing fetus. So Olivia briefly mentioned a few things about the omega-3 fatty acids, but essentially they will support brain and eye development in the fetus, and they are also important for maternal health. Folic acid or vitamin B9 is also essential. It helps prevent neural tube deficits or defects, and it's also important for DNA synthesis and cell division. Iron is another important one. So it supports increased blood volume and aids in the prevention of anemia. It's also essential for fetal growth and development. We also have vitamin A, which is crucial for vision, immune function, and cellular communication. And then, of course, it supports fetal development as well. And then last but not least, we have vitamin C, which is important for collagen formation and immune support. And it also enhances iron absorption. So you'll want to supplement your iron intake with a vitamin C source. We do have a little picture to the right of examples of vitamin C sources, but so like oranges, bananas, strawberries, things like that. I'll also talk about foods to avoid. So you want to avoid unpasteurized milk foods or foods made with unpasteurized milk, hot dogs, lunch meats, cold cuts, unless they're heated until steaming hot just before serving, refrigerated pate, meat spreads, refrigerated smoked seafood, raw and uncooked seafood, raw eggs, raw seafood. So anything, essentially anything raw, you do want to avoid. So, and then we also have some special considerations now that we've talked about the macros, weight management, and the micros. You also want to maintain an adequate hydration or adequate fluid intake. So amniotic fluid, increased tissue fluid, and increased blood volume are responsible for 9 to 12 pounds of weight gain during pregnancy. So you want to supplement that by adding fluid sources. So the fluid sources should be water or fluid made with water. The recommended amount is 8 to 10 cups, which will include milk, juices, and foods rich in fluids such as fruits and vegetables. The lactating mother also requires 8 to 10 cups per day for milk production. So hydration is essential in fetal and maternal health. Additional fluid is also needed for fetal growth and development, as well as for the maternal and fetal excretion of waste products. I know caffeine is a big one for a lot of us, so it is sometimes difficult to wean off, but I will say it's recommended that no more than 200 milligrams of caffeine per day are consumed, which is equal to 1 12-ounce cup of coffee. I know that can be hard for some of us, myself included. Adequate hydration can also aid in UTI prevention. So want to make sure to stay hydrated.